Welcome to today's Explainer. We're just going to go ahead and skip right past the usual media panic surrounding AI in schools. You know the headlines, bots are writing all the essays, homework is dead, all of that. Instead, we're going to look at the actual hard empirical data to see how AI is realistically reshaping higher education from the ground up. To do this, we're pulling from three super fascinating sources today. A Norwegian study on emerging digital divides, a massive analysis of actual student chat logs from Rutgers University, and the official, on-the-books AI policy from California Health Sciences University. Let's dive in.
To kick things off, I want you to hear this exact quote. "You're smarter than my professor." Now, that is not just some random internet comment. That's a real, surprisingly candid prompt typed by an undergraduate student directly into ChatGPT. It was pulled right out of the interaction logs analyzed in that Rutgers University study. Honestly, it perfectly highlights the deeply personal and, frankly, sometimes surprising ways that students are already relating to these systems. And really, that brings us to the core question we're exploring in this explainer. Are students just using these tools to cheat and take shortcuts, or are they actually engaging in something way deeper, something like a genuine process of co-learning? Well, we're going to separate the myth from the reality today by looking at exactly what happens when students and AI interact out in the wild. Here is our roadmap for today. First up, the new digital divide. Second, how students actually use AI. Third, the power of AI apologies. Fourth, writing the AI rulebook. And finally, the future of co-learning. All right, Section 1, the new digital divide. So, a recent study of academic staff in Norway found that the introduction of AI has fundamentally shifted how we define educational inequality. Think about the old digital divide. It was pretty straightforward, right? It was simply about access. Did you have a computer? Did you have a reliable internet connection? But this new digital divide is way more complex. Because practically everyone has access to these tools now, the divide has shifted entirely to ability. Success today requires AI literacy, critical and analytical thinking, and crucially, the ability to give highly precise instructions or prompts. The Norwegian academic staff pointed out that this new divide isn't just cropping up between individual students, it's actually creating a wedge between different academic subjects too. Now, think about this for a second. Giving precise instructions and critically analyzing text, those are the absolute core skills of the humanities. So humanities majors, your time has finally arrived. The demand for these traditional competencies is actually skyrocketing right alongside the growing presence of AI. But here is the wild irony the researchers uncovered. Skepticism toward actually using AI-based tools is most pronounced in those exact same humanities disciplines. It's a really fascinating tension to watch unfold. Moving on to Section 2, how students actually use AI. To see how this all plays out on the ground, researchers at Rutgers University did something amazing. They analyzed over 10,000 actual chat logs from undergrads over an entire academic year. Now, this is absolutely crucial. This isn't survey data where students just say they think they do. This is the raw data of what they literally typed. And based on that hard data, we see 5 dominant ways students interact with the chatbot. We've got information seeking, content generation, language refinement, metacognitive engagement, which, by the way, includes things like self-reflection and expressing emotions, and finally, conversational repair, which is when they actively troubleshoot misunderstandings with the AI. This proves definitively that ChatGPT is functioning as a highly versatile, socio-technical learning partner, not just some fancy essay generator. Students are genuinely using it as an explainer, a writing coach, and, believe it or not, an emotional sounding board. So, what actually makes a student stick with AI over the long haul? When researchers dug into the data to predict long-term engagement, the clear winners were highly specific, goal-oriented tasks. We're talking about drafting job application content, writing and debugging code, working through multiple-choice questions, and applying complex theories. The takeaway here is that when the AI helps a student overcome a very specific procedural hurdle or achieve a tangible goal, they keep coming back for more. Which brings us to Section 3, the power of AI apologies. Now, we all know it's not always smooth sailing with these bots, but what happens when the AI gets it wrong is actually the most revealing part of the entire Rutgers study. Looking at the positive predictors for continued use, do you know what this single most substantial factor was? It was instances where the AI issued an apology. Seriously, when the AI fails, admits it messed up, and actually says sorry, it builds significantly more trust than a completely seamless interaction. On the flip side, the negative predictors, the things that make students just throw their hands up and abandon the tool, are when the AI simply states its limitations without helping, when the student explicitly expresses frustration, or when the student is forced to constantly revise and repair their prompts just to get a decent answer.
What this tells us is that students aren't just getting answers handed to them on a silver platter, they are actually learning resilience. When they manage a conversational breakdown with their AI, and the AI is responsive and humble enough to apologize and course correct, the student and the machine are engaging in a joint learning endeavor. It's all about sharing the burden of communication. And this matters incredibly because it highlights a brand new educational framework for us: co-regulated learning. It's not just the student regulating themselves, it's a dynamic partnership. Okay, Section 4, Writing the AI Rulebook. With students engaging in this deep, co-regulated learning, how in the world do universities maintain any sense of academic integrity? Well, the California Health Sciences University, or CHSU, offers a fantastic example of a gold standard institutional framework here. They don't just put their heads in the sand and ban AI altogether. Instead, they explicitly recognize its potential benefits while setting very clear, firm boundaries around its ethical use. Let's break down the 3 core rules CHSU actually requires their students to follow. Rule number 1, understand faculty expectations. The policy intentionally leaves the ultimate authority right where it belongs, with the individual faculty member to define acceptable use in their specific syllabus. Rule number 2, properly cite AI. Basically, if you use it, treat it as a source that needs formal acknowledgement. And rule number 3, which is arguably the most critical, own the accuracy. The student is held completely accountable if the AI produces biased, inaccurate, or inappropriate information. At the end of the day, the final submission has to reflect the student's own genuine understanding. No passing the buck to the bot. Now, because CHSU is specifically a health sciences university, they also have to outline some crucial ethical boundaries to protect patient privacy. Their policy strictly prohibits the use of any AI tools to generate or complete patient clinical documentation, like patient histories and physicals. Furthermore, inputting any protected health information, or PHI, into an AI tool is absolutely forbidden to ensure full HIPAA compliance and data security. It's honestly a perfect example of a smart, context-aware AI policy. And finally, Section 5, the future of co-learning. So, we've looked at the new digital divide, the actual student usage logs, and some really smart new university policies. What does this all mean for the future of educational design? Well, developers and educators really need to focus heavily on a few key areas moving forward. First, we need to prioritize dialogic responsiveness over sheer perfection, meaning we need AI that actually knows how to apologize and repair a broken conversation. Second, these systems need dynamic prompt scaffolding to help ease the cognitive burden on students who are still learning. Third, we need built-in metacognitive prompts. Imagine an AI that actually pauses and asks you, "Hey, did this explanation help?" to encourage active self-reflection. And finally, we absolutely need comprehensive AI literacy curricula baked right into our schools. And that connects us right back to our very first source today, that Norwegian study, which called out the need for brand new competencies to bridge the new digital divide. True AI literacy is not just about learning how to engineer the perfect prompt. It actually means teaching students how to manage ambiguity, how to critically assess these outputs, and, most importantly, how to recover gracefully when the AI inevitably gets it wrong. The ability to navigate that friction, that is the real foundational skill of the future. I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to wrap up today's explainer. Based on everything we've seen today, the deep emotional connections, the co-regulation, the power of a simple apology, ask yourself this: are we currently building educational policies designed for simple software tools, or do we need to start building frameworks designed for our new socio-technical learning partners? It's a massive shift in perspective, and it's one we're all going to have to navigate together. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and as always, keep asking the right questions.